Joe Ressinell with the front line with Joe and Joe. Once again, let us go into the breach. A pollster is saying publicly that Justin Trudeau is in decline, that if the election was today, he'd be out. Play the clip.
The power index is basically measures the strength of all of the federal parties, and it includes a combination. It's a model that includes a combination of vote preferences, preferred prime minister, accessible voters, like the proportion of Canadians that would consider voting for all of the parties, and also scores, leadership scores on each of the federal party leaders. And, you know, over the course of the last while, the Liberals have consistently had an advantage on the power index and had a stronger brand. Now we see the Conservatives surpassing them, you know, for the first time in a couple of years since the last election, when the Conservatives had a little bit of a surge. But, you know, right now the Conservatives score 50 points on the power index, the Liberals 47, NDP at 46. What does that mean? The Liberal and the NDP brand are basically about the same, while the Conservative brand is now stronger than both of those. The big difference, Michael, accessible voters, which is one of the key inputs. For the last, why don't we just say 50 years, the Liberals traditionally have always had a larger pool of accessible voters. That means people that would consider voting Liberal. And that was true in 2015 when they had their big win. But since 2015, the proportion of Canadians that would consider voting Liberal has gone down. So they've gone from a big tent, why don't we say, to a narrower tent. And as a result, it's impacted the political muscle of the Liberals. So ballot numbers not looking good for the Liberals, leadership numbers not looking good, the brand not looking good. And right now, Conservatives in the ascendancy. And if there was an election held today, brace yourself. Pierre Poilievre, Prime Minister, or I should say, the Right Honourable Pierre Poilievre.
Couple points. Don't underestimate the heavy hand of the establishment. There's a reason why Justin Trudeau is the Prime Minister. The press is behind him. Many of the corporations embrace his ideology. Why? Because they're globalists. What you're seeing across the West right now is the establishment versus the people. It's going on in America. It's going on in Canada. It's going on in Europe, Australia, New Zealand. Ultimately, though, the establishment control everything. And they are all in on the globalist agenda. They are all in on green energy. And I'm going to tell you why. All of the economic impact doesn't affect them because they're rich. They're rich. But it deeply affects everybody else. That's why they're going to keep saying, oh, we're for the middle class. No, you're not. And you never will be. It's only going to get harder. Ultimately, they want you a slave to the state. What Trudeau is doing right now, giving you a food rebate. You're a slave. That is the ultimate goal. It cements their power, and it cements you in a position that you'll never get out of. Believe it. While this pollster may be telling the truth, all his data may indicate everything he's saying, don't bet on the outcome. I'm going to tell you that right now, because the powers that be are not behind the people, and they pull all the levers. People have to get the government back. People control everything. Ultimately, we have to unify. We have to resist. Financial boycotts work. It's a unified no. Until that happens, I'll be honest with you. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I wouldn't put too much credence in polls.
Hey Canada, show the country that you stand for freedom with one of these hats from our store. Your purchase supports this channel. Check out the link in the description and order yours now.